All right, very good. Thank you. And I would like to welcome everyone to the Senate Committee on Commerce on Thursday, March 18th, 2021. I'd like to begin with roll call for attendance. Mr. Clerk, if you would, please.
Chairwoman Sosnowski.
Here.
Senator Picard. Senator Mack. Senator Anderson.
Here.
Senator Coleman.
Here.
Senator Lombardo.
Here.
Senator Mendes.
Here.
Senator Goodwin.
I'm present.
Leader McCaffrey.
Present.
President Ruggerio.
Present.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And we will begin. The first bill before the committee today is Senate Bill 206, which I sponsored. And it is an act relating to fish and wildlife, commercial fisheries. It will permit dockside sale of fish by commercial fishing license holders. This bill is to codify the DEM emergency regulations that were put in effect during COVID-19 emergency last year. This bill would authorize the sale of allowable species by license holders on the boat or on the dock. The director of DEM would issue direct sales licenses, and a licensee or crew member with written permission may make the sales. As I said, this codifies the DEM emergency regulations, but it does differ a bit from the regulations. This would not prohibit filleting whole fish prior to sale. The regulations that is in place now is only permits whole fish sales. And also the current COVID emergency regulations also stipulate that the sales are limited to fish that's caught that day. So it does, this bill would open it up more to an industry that's important to our state, and I think it's a move in the right direction. I know there is a bill in the House. It varies slightly, but I'm very pleased that the House has taken this issue up as well. Because it is important to the economy of the state. And I don't believe we have any correspondence on this at this point. Are there any questions from committee members at this point? There are none. So I would entertain a motion to hold this bill. And I just wanted to take a moment to talk about holding bills, and it doesn't mean that that's a death sentence for a bill. I know we have a lot of new committee members, and the term hold for further study means just that. It gives the opportunity, especially with this bill, it's the first hearing we've had on it. I would welcome comments from DEM or other members of the Senate or members from the public. So that's the reason for holding this bill. So if I could have a motion to hold.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion to hold by Senator Coleman, Senator Mack, I think Senator Lombardo as well, and a second. Senator Lombardo.
Second, from Senator Anderson.
Senator Anderson. And then we'll have a roll call, if you would, Mr. Clerk.
Chairwoman Sosnowski.
Yes.
Senator Picard.
Yes.
Senator Mack.
Yes.
Senator Anderson.
Yes.
Senator Coleman.
Yes.
Senator Lombardo.
Yes.
Senator Mendes.
Yes.
Senator Goodwin.
Yes.
Leader McCaffrey.
Yes.
President Ruggerio. All set, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will hold that bill for further study. And the next bill that I would like to bring before the committee is Senate Bill, let's see, I have a different number here on one list. Is it 334? 338. 338 by Senator Golden. Is Senator Golden going to join us today? No, she's not.
I
Okay.
believe she's going, Chairwoman, I believe she will text you on this. I was just discussing this bill with her, so I believe she was going to reach out to you.
Okay, thank you. You mean at a later time to discuss the bill, or do you mean today?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you very much, Senator Mendes.
Madam Chair, may I be recorded in voting in the affirmative on the last vote, please?
Without objection, thank you, President Ruggerio. Okay, Senator Golden's bill is an act relating to taxation, sales, and use taxes, enforcement and collection, and provides that any person who has a retail sales permit would not be required to pay a separate registration fee to make sales at flea markets, provided, however, the person would remain responsible to pay all taxes due as a result of sales at a flea market. And as Senator Mendes had just mentioned, Senator Golden wishes to discuss the bill further with me. Do we have anyone? We don't, and we have not received any correspondence on this as well. Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to hold 338 for further study until we can discuss this further with Senator Golden. Is there such a motion?
Motion to hold for further study, Senator Mendes.
Senator Mendes makes the motion to hold. Is there a second?
Second.
Senator Coleman, and Senator Mack. Mr. Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Chairwoman Sosnowski.
Yes.
Senator Picard.
Yes.
Senator Mack.
Yes.
Senator Anderson.
Yes.
Senator Coleman.
Yes.
Senator Lombardo.
Yes.
Senator Mendes.
Yes.
Senator Goodwin.
Yes.
Leader McCaffrey.
Yes.
President Ruggerio.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will hold that bill for further study. The next bill before the committee today is Senator Gallo's bill, S344, and it's an act relating to alcoholic beverages, retail licenses, small business. It's an omnibus bill. Act regarding caterers, hide and leather inspection, constables, sterilization of bedding, mixed martial arts, and pool halls. And I believe everyone did receive a letter from Department of Business Regulation explaining what the bill would do. And I will give everyone an opportunity to review that. We don't have anyone signed up today. It looks like this is a good bill to do a lot of cleanup in...
I'm in committee here. Can I call you back?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that was a comment for us. No, okay. But I do think the bill is very good. We'll bring this back before us. It looks like it's a well-needed piece of legislation to update several statutes having to do with these issues. And at this time, if we don't have any witnesses, I would entertain a motion to hold this bill until we can receive any comments on it, and then we can bring it before the committee for a vote. So is there a motion? We have a motion by Senator Coleman to hold. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Anderson. Mr. Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Chairwoman Sosnowski.
Yes.
Senator Picard.
Yes.
Senator Mack. Senator Anderson.
Yes.
Senator Coleman.
Yes.
Senator Mendes.
Yes.
Senator Lombardo.
Yes.
Senator Goodwin.
Yes.
Leader McCaffrey.
Yes.
President Ruggerio. Motion's held.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk, and that bill will be held, and we will bring that before the committee at a later date.
Chairwoman?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I did have one comment on this bill that I wanted to share with you so that you can bring back to the sponsor. And I'm not sure if this is a valid note, but on page 4, line 3, there's an incredible change between the words of 90 hours to 90 days for training hours. And I'm not sure if that's a typo or not. So I just wanted to bring that to the sponsors, eyes to just kind of see while this is in study, if that's something that may be tweaked.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Mendes. I believe there are some typos in the bill that we will go through, but thank you very much for bringing that to the committee's attention. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, moving right along, and we have Senator Bell with us. Senator Bell, your bill is number 347. If you would endeavor to explain your legislation, and welcome to the committee.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman. It's good to be back in front of this committee. What this proposed legislation does is during the pandemic, many businesses had business interruption claims they'd taken out with insurance companies to hedge against the risk that there would be an interruption to their business. And the pandemic was an interruption to their business. However, the insurance companies did not want to pay out claims for business interruption related to the pandemic. What this law would do would be to require that insurance companies pay out business interruption claims for the pandemic. It would be pretty substantial. It would, I think, provide a major lift to our small business community. And I think it's really important that we can have a system where people take out insurance policies and they actually get the coverage they deserve. So I think it would be incredibly useful for our small business community. I know that it would be painful for the insurance industry, and that is a reality. But I think, quite frankly, our small businesses are more important than the insurance companies here. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Senator Bell. Are there any questions of Senator Bell from the committee members at this time? Yes, Senator Coleman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Bell. I'm looking, I read this yesterday and I'm looking through it again here, and I guess I'm curious about how you've conceived of time, which I don't see in here. So I'm just, I know this is going to be held so we can work on it, but I'm curious about how you're thinking about that. How long it goes, who is eligible, how that works.
So my understanding here, I think what you're asking about is exactly what the date of eligibility is. So this specifies that as whether the policy was in effect on March 9th, 2020, which was when our previous governor first declared a public health state of emergency. So the reason that date was chosen was because it was the date of the state of emergency. And so the idea is that you wouldn't want something that could allow people to go take out prospective policies and things like that. The idea is people who really already had these policies on the books at that time.
And if I may, Madam Chair?
Yes, please, Senator Coleman.
How long would it go through, right? So after this, I guess my point is, after the state of emergency lifts, there are still businesses that are adversely affected by the pandemic. Like, how do we think about that?
Yes, so that's true. So I think the idea is that people were perhaps not expecting the pandemic insurance going forwards. So the bill currently doesn't require that all future policies cover this, and I would be happy to amend it according to do that. It is sort of a compromise. I think it would be better policy for us to simply just require that all business interruption claims cover pandemic risk. The bill was written this way essentially as a little bit more of a compromise. I do think that would be better policy, but it's written this way to make it easier for it to pass. So it does not require that future policies cover that risk. It's only if those policies were in effect on March 9th of last year. I do think it's a good question. I think, I would be certainly happy to amend the bill to make it stronger in that regard.
Thank you.
Okay. All set, Senator Coleman? For now. Okay, very good. Any other questions from committee members at this time? Yes, Senator Mendes.
I just wanted to thank Senator Bell for this piece of legislation that was, directly targeted to help small businesses right now as they're impacted. The COVID-19 pandemic has put a severe strain on our businesses, particularly smaller businesses. However, with this bill, we are able to take a step in the right direction. This would allow businesses to hold business interruption insurance without potentially recovering any losses that they may suffer since March 9th, 2020. This would apply to any businesses less than with 100 full-time employees. By providing these businesses with a means to recover their losses, we're not just helping the businesses, we're helping each employee that works there and their families and their homes. And that's why I am very happy to support Senator Bell and appreciate your work on this.
Thank you so much, Senators Mendes and Coleman.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members of Senator Bell at this time? Okay. We do have some witnesses who have signed up to testify on the bill. We have Mr. Whalen, Rory Whalen. Good afternoon, Rory.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Rory Whalen. I am the Regional Vice President of Government Affairs for the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, and I'm speaking today in strong opposition to this legislation. And I appreciate the sponsor and the members' description of what the bill purports to do. And I will explain the adverse impacts this legislation would have into the patent unconstitutionality of the bill. So we'll start with the fact that business interruption insurance is not designed to cover pandemics. No policy was contemplated, no premium was paid for the effect of a pandemic. And in part because it's fundamental to how insurance benefits society is that by spreading risk over a larger pool to cover the claims of a smaller pool, those who experience the risk will reduce premiums for all. Meaning the legislation turns that principle on its head by providing coverage for a risk that is virtually universal in scope. It is inconceivable how many claims, incalculable how many claims, and the cost this would have on insurers, ultimately borne by those Rhode Islanders who pay insurance premiums, the availability of which may not even be possible if this were enacted. This is why the National Association of Insurance Commissioners opposes this type of legislation for fear that it could create a substantial solvency risk and undermine the ability of insurers to pay other types of claims. As I said, business interruption insurance does not contemplate pandemics. The only appropriate response is the federal response. And we do know that $6 trillion in support of businesses, individuals, institutions was made available in 2020. During that time, more than 22,000 Rhode Island businesses received forgivable loans through the Paycheck Protection Program, totaling $2.3 billion. The average recipient business has 11 employees, and the average loan to the more than 1,200 Rhode Island restaurants that received these loans was more than $100,000. And then lastly, regarding the unconstitutionality, it has been widely acknowledged by legal constitutional scholars that this legislation is unconstitutional based on several provisions, including the Contracts Clause, the Takings Clause, and the Due Process Clause. So it is not only the retroactive aspect of the bill, but the fact that the bill is voiding contracts. And I would ask the committee to consider what other contracts, legal contracts sanctioned by the insurance department are next on the shopping block in terms of being voided by the legislature. I again stress the devastating impact this would have not only on the industry, but more importantly on Rhode Islanders who rely on insurances for their financial security going forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Rory. Questions from the committee on Mr. Whalen's testimony? Very enlightening. Very enlightening as a person that's new to the Commerce Committee. I was enlightened by that. Okay.
Thank you, and I did submit written testimony.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no questions, we will move on to the next witness. The next... Is this Frank O'Brien? Welcome, Frank. Can you hear us?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome to the Commerce Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the committee. Apologize for speaking over you there for a second. The telephonic thing's a little tricky sometimes.
Yes.
Again, for the record, my name is Frank O'Brien. I'm a Vice President with the American Property Casualty Insurance Association. We're a national property and casualty insurance company trade association. And we represent a broad cross-section of insurers, many of whom are located in Rhode Island and many more of whom do business in the state. Together, APCI members write about 65% of the commercial insurance sold in the state. It's my first visit with you this session, and I certainly hope it won't be my last, and that at some point in time we will all be seeing each other in the hearing room. I'm here to testify in opposition to Senate 347. I've submitted extensive written comments to the committee regarding this particular piece of legislation, but I'd like to leave 3 basic points with you this afternoon. First, as devastating as the business losses caused by the pandemic are, they are not covered under a business interruption insurance policy. For over 10 years, many, if not most, of the insurance policies sold in the state, if not the entire country, contained language excluding pandemic-related issues. There are a number of other policy provisions that are impacted in this area as well. And as you may be aware of, there has been widespread litigation regarding this particular provision of insurance policies. And 98 to 99% of the litigation that has been filed has found in favor of insurers. Second, the passage of this particular piece of legislation would have a catastrophic financial impact on insurers in the state of Rhode Island. We estimate that the potential losses for the state of Rhode Island is anywhere from $188 million to $814 million per month. Per month. This is a very significant financial burden on the insurance industry, a financial burden for which premium was not provided by our customers. If this particular piece of legislation were passed in Rhode Island and in other states, while we do enjoy a significant financial surplus, it would very quickly drain the financial resources of the insurance industry, leaving little, if anything, for other claims to be paid. In short, Madam Chair, on this particular issue from a financial point of view, for the first time in front of the legislature, I would have to say to you, if this bill were passed, it would bankrupt the insurance industry. Finally, it's unconstitutional under both the U.S. and Rhode Island constitutions. We've put in our package to the committee an extensive white paper authored by Lauren Jones, who is a well-known, highly respected Rhode Island attorney. And frankly, Madam Chair, it is not even a close case. The retroactive provisions contained in this bill would render this bill unconstitutional from the start. It's not even a close question. Okay. Finally, Madam Chair, and in closing, I would note that this particular piece of legislation and bills like it have been considered in a number of states, approximately a dozen. As a matter of fact, not more than 20 minutes ago, your colleagues in the Massachusetts State Senate just considered an amendment to another bill that dealt with retroactive business interruption coverage for businesses in the Commonwealth. The Massachusetts Senate rejected that amendment by a voice vote. No state has forwarded this, and I expect that before the end of the day, your colleagues on the Maine Healthcare, Insurance, and Financial Services Committee will also defeat a bill similar to this proposal. With that, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Frank, for your testimony and also for your written testimony as well. Are there any questions from members of the committee at this time?
Not for the witness, but for the sponsor prompted by the witness's comments.
Not for this witness?
Not for the witness, but for the
Okay,
sponsor.
okay. Does anyone have any questions for this witness before we move on? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Frank, very much for testifying. And we know we will be talking with you soon.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Senator Mendes, you got a question for the sponsor?
Yeah, we had, two witnesses who were insurance lobbyists kind of bring up a constitutionality question. And, I know my colleague, Senator Bell, well, and he does his research and it takes particular care around constitutionality. So I'm very curious about, to kind of better understand, Senator Bell, what, Chairwoman, if I could ask him and direct my question toward him, if he could kind of explain this bill and how, in his kind of review process of its constitutionality, and how I'm sure that he is certain that it is. So I'd love to hear from him of how he came to that conclusion.
Floor is yours, Senator Bell.
Thank you so much, Senator Mendes. It is an important question. The constitutionality often does come up. I think it's very common that people will bring up these legal arguments as an obstacle. It's a very common constitutional argument that we often see trotted out in many different cases in the kind of legislation we engage with. The idea is to extend the contracts clause of the U.S. Constitution and the mirror language in the Rhode Island Constitution to say that, which says that you can't do anything that, quote, impairs the obligation of contracts. So that means that you can't pass a law that says that someone is not allowed to fulfill an existing contract. Or like, we couldn't just, come up with a contract that we're going to pay a private company to build a road and then just not pay them. The state has to fulfill its own contracts. These contractual obligations have to be fulfilled. Now, there is a governmental test about need in some cases, and so people have argued in some cases that some contracts can be broken, such as pension obligations, and the state famously defaulted on some pension obligations, and the argument was that the solvency risk to the state and the financial concerns outweighed that constitutionally. I would personally disagree with that constitutional ruling, but in general, people have found fairly favorably there are many cases in which contracts can be broken. However, you don't even need to get to that point with this argument. The idea is to extend it to say that you cannot apply any additional requirements that are based on any existing contract. And that's very different. So a good example and a very good analogy, I think, is the debate over the constitutionality of the contracts continuation law that we have passed previously in the Senate, which was, I think, a really important piece of legislation that required that existing labor contracts stay in place past the term of the contract. And that is applying an additional obligation that's based off an existing contract, but it is crucially not impairing the obligation of an existing contract. In fact, it's to protect the obligation of a contract. And this is, I think, a very analogous case, that it is not impairing the obligation of any existing contract. It is simply putting an additional obligation that is contingent on the existence of an existing contract. And I do want to finally respond to one of the points they brought up about the risks to the insurance industry. It's real. This would create real pain for the insurance industry. I'm not going to pretend that's not the case. What I'm going to argue is that the pain of our small businesses is more important in this particular case. And that, yes, it would be very painful to the insurance industry. but I think the need that our small businesses have right now is greater. And I really think it's a balancing test. You can't pretend that one pain doesn't exist, but I think it's more important that we fight to save our small business economy here in our state.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, Senator Bell.
Yes, and I want to thank you, Senator Bell, for your willingness to work on this issue. And also I did want to mention, and I'd be happy to share some of this information with you as well. More documents from the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies in opposition, and also I know we had another one here from Nixon Peabody as well in opposition, and the Defense Council of Rhode Island as well. So I appreciate your willingness to work for the small businesses of the state, but as you can see, we've been given a lot of testimony here where we definitely need to work on this bill further. Is there any other further questions from committee members at this point?
One comment.
Yes, Senator Mack.
We did receive one more piece of testimony from a constituent in support of this bill.
I didn't quite hear you, Senator Mack.
Oh, sorry. We did receive one more additional piece of testimony in support for this bill.
Okay, let me just check on that, Senator Mack. Last page of my packet. I'll just make sure I have that and I'll read that into the record. Thank you very much. Yes, we did receive yes, we did, everyone from Jordan Goyette. It was on the last page of my packet. Thank you, Senator Mack, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that. Are there any further comments, questions at this time on this bill? I would entertain a motion to hold. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Senator Lombardo, seconded by Senator Coleman, and Senator Mack, and Senator Anderson. Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Chairwoman Sosnowski.
Yes.
Senator Picard.
Yes.
Senator Mack.
Yes.
Senator Anderson.
Yes.
Senator Gallo.
Yes.
Senator Coleman.
Yes.
Senator Lombardo.
Yes.
Senator Mendes.
Yes.
Senator Goodwin.
Senator Goodwin was yes.
Senator McCaffrey.
Yes.
President Ruggerio.
Yes.
Motion's held.
The bill will be held. Thank you, Senator Bell. Before we go further, I believe Senator Golden has been able to join us. She didn't realize that the bill was before the committee. It had been in finance in past years. But if she is with us, we'll give her the opportunity to speak on the bill. We'll just wait a couple of minutes. It doesn't look that way. No, and also Senator Gallo, I know we held your bill earlier. I don't know if you wanted to speak on it at all, the omnibus bill?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, I was in school, and by the time I got here, I was a little late.
We're glad you're with us, Senator.
S344, this act would repeal the provisions in chapter regulating hide leather inspections, and it basically cleans a lot of things up. The act would further provide that applicants for a constable shall undergo 90 days of training and an oral examination, written testing prior to certification. This act would also provide for issuance of registration for establishments involved in sterilization and vetting. The act would further provide that exempt for amateur exhibitions, mixed martial arts exhibitions shall be licensed. And it would also provide that municipalities may regulate establishments with 3 or more pool tables. And I'm here if you have any questions.
We did hold the bill, Senator Gallo, and did mention that we had the letter from DBR endorsing the bill and saying it was a much-needed piece of legislation to bring things up to date. There were some questions brought up about some possibility of some typos in the bill. That's why we voted to hold.
Okay.
And would you like to be voted in the affirmative on any of the bills before that we?
All the bills that I missed, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Gallo.
Thank you.
If there's no further questions, I believe that is all the business that is before the committee today, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Do we have such a motion? We have a motion by Senator
moved.
Coleman and seconded by, was that Senator Mendes or Senator Mack?
Gallo.
Senator Gallo, I'm sorry. Everybody has to raise their hands for me. And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
And we are adjourned, and thank you all for taking the time this afternoon, and we'll see you soon.